And, Shiloh, those comments are, apparently he needs to grow up a little bit too.
Appreciate you, man. I love you. I do. I love you.
This is not about favorites, and this is not about self-anointing, and this is not about I am him and all the, legendary baloney. You got drafted in the fifth round for a reason.
We came in together. 1989. He was like the fourth pick. I was like the 263rd. They don't even have that anymore.
Your skill set or your interview process or whatever the case may be was not what NFL scouts and NFL management thought it should be.
So you agree that it was slander?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was
Let me ask you something real quick. What kind of man goes to someone's house, speaks to their kids, looks them in the eye, calls them a friend, and then turns around and publicly destroys their son on national television? That is exactly what we are dealing with today. And honestly, this one hit different for me because this is not just another media take gone wrong. This is betrayal. And the man at the center of it, Mark Schlereth, needs to be held accountable. Let's set the stage so everyone understands exactly who we are talking about and why this matters so much.
It was character assassination. There were things that were said about Shedeur.
There was lies that were told.
But I got to watch you guys last year. I was sitting in a meeting room every Saturday watching what was going on here, and I'm connected, man.
And, Shiloh, those comments are, apparently he needs to grow up a little bit too.
Now, y'all heard him. Now, this is what Shedeur doing right now. This is what. See, Shedeur working, getting it in, while the media continues to paint this negative picture as if this young man.
Mark Schlereth is a former NFL offensive lineman. He came into the league in 1989, the same draft class as Deion Sanders. Now, Deion was the 4th overall pick. Schlereth was pick number 263. He said that himself on air, like it was some kind of badge of honor. The man literally used his own draft position to try and discredit someone else. But we will get back to that. What you need to know is that Schlereth did not just know Deion from a distance. This was not some casual acquaintance situation. This man physically went out to Colorado. He walked into that building. He sat in front of Coach Prime's team and inspired those young men. He looked Deion in the face and said, "I love you." Those were his words, not paraphrased, not assumed. He said it directly. "I love you. I do. I love you." And then he went on television and did what he did. Now, before we break down the betrayal, let me show you something first. Because in the middle of all this noise, there was a moment where Schlereth actually told the truth about Shedeur Sanders. He said, and I want to be clear about this, he said Shedeur is accurate. He said his feet are always on time. He said the ball comes out on time. He said Shedeur understands offense and, more importantly, understands defensive coverage. He even broke down tape showing Shedeur reading a zero coverage pre-snap, identifying the blitz coming, and dropping a perfect ball on a slot fade while taking the hit. He called it textbook. He called Shedeur a first-round talent.
To this.
Let me show you something on tape because I think the guy can flat play. I think he's accurate. I think he throws the ball exceptionally well. He throws it on time, and he understands what he sees pre-snap. Zero coverage right here all the way across the board, so you know you got a bunch of one-on-ones. What are we going to throw? The slot fade. When you have zero coverage, you know what? You're getting blitz, and you're getting hit in the mouth. But that is a perfect ball on the slot fade. Understanding, watch him fall away from the blitzer, take the hit, and then that's called dropping it in the freaking bucket right there. Accurate all time. He is a good quarterback. I think he's a first-round talent. He throws with accuracy. His feet are always on time. His ball is on time. This is a guy that understands offense. More importantly, he understands defense and defensive coverage. So you can sit there in the NFL, and this happens all the time. Teams that love you will talk smack about you in hopes that you fall to them.
So the man had tape. The man had evidence. The man saw with his own eyes what kind of quarterback Shedeur Sanders is. And then he turned around and said something completely different. On the same platform, in the same breath almost, Schlereth started pushing the idea that Deshaun Watson should be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns over Shedeur Sanders. He talked about how guys drafted in the top half of the first round have better success rates. He implied that Shedeur, coming in as a later pick, does not have the physical tools that Watson has. Think about that for a second. Deshaun Watson, A quarterback who has not played consistent football in years, who's been buried in injuries and off-field situations, who has given Cleveland almost nothing in return for one of the most expensive contracts in NFL history. That is the guy Schlereth wants to go with over a young, hungry, accurate, football-smart quarterback who just came out of college and is ready to compete. And it did not stop there. Schlereth made a comment suggesting that Shedeur looked like a player who was on scholarship inside the Browns' locker room. That one single comment was the most disrespectful thing he could have said. What he was doing was painting a picture of a young black quarterback as someone who does not belong, someone who's only there out of charity, someone who has not earned his spot. That is not analysis. That is character assassination. And when he was pushed back on it, Schlereth himself admitted it. He said the things being said about Shedeur were lies. He said it was horrendous. His exact word, horrendous. So he knew what was happening was wrong. He participated in it anyway.
There's another one that's called lying.
I think if you're talking about like who has a chance to be a top shelf, who has the best chance to be a top shelf quarterback, who's the most talented quarterback on the Browns roster, I still think there's very little question that it's Deshaun.
Clearly, this quarterback isn't the same Deshaun Watson. It's as obvious as the plain as day. Everyone in the league is talking about it. Every single scout, every single person that I talk to.
If this was just based on performance, I don't know why you wouldn't go to Jameis Winston.
You just look at the success rate of guys like of guys who are drafted in the top, in the top half of the first round versus guys in the third and fifth rounds. If you just look at the physical ability versus the other two, I still think Watson's got the best chance.
This is not acceptable. Like, how do you keep selling this to your locker room? It looks to a lot of people on the outside like you've got one player who's on scholarship.
You cannot fake that. You cannot manufacture that. And the people who keep trying to downplay Shedeur's impact cannot explain those numbers away, no matter how hard they try. Now, I want to address something that is coming down the road, because I need you all to be prepared for it. A lot of the content creators and media personalities who are currently positioning themselves as Shedeur supporters are going to flip. And they are going to flip soon. Here's why. Cleveland's quarterback of record for this season is Deshaun Watson. That means the Cleveland media machine is going to have to build Watson up. They do not have a choice. And when that happens, the same voices that were singing Shedeur's praises are going to quietly shift their narrative to protect their access, protect their relationships with the organization, and protect their business. Do not be surprised when it happens. Do not get confused. Understand that this was never about genuine support for most of them. It was about content. It was about clicks. It was about staying relevant in whatever direction the wind was blowing. Real support does not have an expiration date. Real support does not evaporate the moment the roster decision gets made. If you actually believe in Shedeur Sanders, you stay consistent. Period. And back to Schlereth one more time, because I cannot let this go without saying it plainly. You went to Colorado. You spoke to those kids. You sat across from Deion Sanders, a man you drafted in the same class as you, a man you called a friend, a man you told to his face that you loved. And then you used your platform to tear down his son. A son who Deion has poured everything into. A son who grew up watching his father sacrifice for this sport and then decided to give his own life to it. And your best justification was what? That you got drafted 263rd? That gives you the right to discredit a young man's entire future? No. It does not. And the fact that you came back later and basically recanted, saying you loved Deion and this was not about favorites or self-promotion, that does not undo the damage. Words travel fast, narratives stick. The lie gets around the world before the truth even gets its shoes on, and you knew that. Here is where we land on all of this. Shedeur Sanders is a first-round caliber quarterback. The tape shows it. The pre-snap reads show it. The accuracy shows it. The football IQ shows it. The draft viewership spike shows it. The only thing working against him is a media narrative built on personal agendas and convenient takes. But here is the beautiful thing about football. Eventually, the game decides.
Eventually, a quarterback steps on that field and either performs or he does not, and everything that was said before, all the noise, all the lies, all the character assassination either gets validated or it gets exposed. Based on what Shedeur Sanders has shown on tape, based on the work he is putting in right now while everyone else is talking, I know which way that story ends. Now get down in the comments and let me know what you think. Did Schlereth cross the line? Can Shedeur become the starter in Cleveland? Do you think the media narrative around him is going to shift? Drop your thoughts below. If this video hit different for you, throw a like on it and make sure you are subscribed, because we are going to keep telling the truth on this channel, whether the media likes it or not. Until next time, shake the haters off. We out.